Hello, welcome back to Gasbutio Tabletop Football. Right, so we've had a question today, and the question is from phonojam, and what he wanted to ask was, what he did ask was, why don't you secure your goals down? And what he's talking about there is that I have these sort of old school Subbuteo goals that I use, and they're not pinned down at all in any way, shape, or form to the pitch or the board that they sit on. And sometimes when the ball whacks the goal, it sort of jumps around a bit and I reset it. Now, the first part of that is I don't really notice myself resetting it, to be honest, to be honest with you. And you know, that's just the way it is. So they're not glued down. Now, why don't I glue them down or stick them down? Well, I think a while ago, right at the start of Gasbutio Tabletop Football, I did used to use these goals. Now, everyone's going to be familiar with them. They got a bit on the back, and it sort of enables you to, if I stand that up and bring it nearer to the camera, just get down onto my broken knees. And it's got some sort of tabs in there, and it enables you to sort of thread that onto the edge of a pitch, and it stops it moving about so much. But even if you don't do that, which I never used to, what you can do is put some sort of weight on the back. Now, a long time ago, I did use them, and I used to put like a bit of steel on there, and it weighed them down. It really stops them moving about. And so they're just fixed in place. Now, why don't I continue to do that? Bottom line is, I prefer the look of those goals rather than these ones. So that's why I use them rather than them. I don't really like, as he gets back up, broken knees, I don't really like the look of this sort of tab thing on the back. So I tend to use these for, if I take any Subbuteo set away anywhere, I'll take these goals because I don't mind sort of losing them. And I keep these ones for Gasbutio Stadium. Now, as a question though, that has been brought up before, and it was brought up by Subbuteo Asylum. So, and they actually sent me these little base plates that are at the bottom. So they slot in. There's 4 little holes, and the goals slot in there, and it does give it. And it's not much extra weight, but a little bit of weight that makes them a little bit more sort of solid on the ground. Now, you could say, well, I mean, rather than weighing that down and sort of, or threading them onto the edge of a pitch, I mean, you can pin things down. So there's various things you can do. You could, for instance, put a bit of tape on the bottom of the goal, stick it down. That just seems like a bit of a faff to me. And the other thing you could do, of course, is, and I have thought about this, you could cut holes in the pitch. You could probably do that quite neatly. You could even put some sort of riveted eyelets in if you wanted to. And then the goal could sort of slot in. And underneath that, you could drill holes in the board, which the sort of goal legs stick in. And so they'll be a bit more solid. Now, I have thought about that as well. But if you change your pitch then, and it's a slightly different size, you're going to be left with these holes in the wrong place. So that's why I don't do that. So if you think there's a combination there of, I just prefer the look of these goals, and I don't want to go drilling holes in the board just in case, put a new pitch on there at any point, or a different pitch. Say, for instance, if you put a snowy pitch in, it is a slightly different dimensions. So that's that reason. Now, I have tried to combat that, if you like. If you remember, quite a while ago, I tried to make a metal goal, because the metal goals are a lot heavier than the plastic goals. So, you know, that sort of eliminates the problem of them sort of getting knocked about a bit more. This weighs, so if you don't know, this goal, I made this out of a bit of steel wire and heated it and bent it and then sprayed it and then got a bit of netting and chucked it on. And that's why the netting's quite messy. But the whole point of this, I was seeing if it was possible to make some metal goals, because I would love to have some metal goals, but they're quite expensive to buy. So I was trying to make my own. And just, I know it's a bit difficult for you to appreciate, but if you can pick up, if you've got one of these tight and you pick it up, and you can feel how much that weighs. Well, this metal goal, even though it's just a bit of wire, so it's, I can't remember what the steel rod is. I think it's 3mm steel rod. It must weigh, when I pick that up, it must weigh about 4 times as much as that, all right? So that gives enough, if you could work out how to do these so that they were level, you see mine rocks around a little bit, and you could get all the bends and folds in it done properly, then, you know, that would be a viable alternative that wouldn't sort of knock over. Now, as it happens, when I was making that metal goal, it was such a, I mean, it's quite a sort of fun thing to try, but getting all the dimensions perfectly right all the way round so it was all even was hard enough on one. If you had to do it on 2 separate goals, that'd be very difficult unless you're doing it on some sort of commercial basis with proper dies and machines and whatnot. So I only ever made one of them, and it was interesting to do, and it is a lot better for shot stopping, and it's actually got a better sound as well. So if the ball hits that, it's got a nice little sort of metal twangy sort of noise. So that's why I don't use that. But yeah, bottom line is, it's just because I like the look of these ones. I prefer the look of these ones, which I was trying to emulate with a metal one. And I don't like having a base plate on there, and I don't want to really have to drill through any of the pitches. All right, so I hope that answers that question in a bit of a sort of rambling way. I guess in the future, you never know sort of where we're going to go with Gas Buteo, but I mean, one day it'd be quite nice if I could shell out and get some heavier metal goals. So that might change the fact that the goal's just loose air. But I suppose really, if I was that bothered by it, the best sort of option for me would be to add some sort of tape on the bottom to stick it down. One of the other things I thought about as well, but I don't really know how viable this would be to lift all this up, lift the pitch up, and then put in like a quite a large sort of sheet of, say, 1mm thick steel or something, so you could sort of route it out and drop that in the sort of 1mm deep cavity, and then you could get those little magnets, tiny little magnets that you can stick on the bottom, and then of course wherever you place the goal it would be a bit more solid. Now I have seriously considered doing that, but the reason I didn't, 2 reasons I didn't, is because I was a bit concerned that if I started taking sort of 1mm layer thickness out the MDF, not only would it delaminate itself around the edges, but also it might create, around say the 6-yard box or something, might create a bit of a lip that could affect the game. I don't know if it would or it wouldn't, but I thought I suppose I should do some sort of practice on that. I could get an old bit of MDF and cut out a square and try and drop in or slot in a piece of steel, and then use some magnets, and then, you know, that would clip down effectively. And it would also mean that if I had a different pitch on, it wouldn't really matter. I could put the goal anywhere as long as it was on the steel plate underneath. So I don't know, I might do that in the future. It'd be quite interesting to sort of try. And we'll see how we go from that. But that's that anyway. So quick little video, and I hope that answers that question. And let's see how we get on. See if any of that happens in the future. I just want to say, if I ever do try that, it's probably going to be a bit of a while away, but you never know, could happen. Although more likely, I'd say, would be me shelling out and buying some actual properly made metal goals, because they look awesome. All right, anyway, until next time, up the gas.